some people think it's the stupidest thing ever and they hate it, and other people are like, hey, that's super cool. They say they throw with shit as a catapult, and I say I am shit.
Welcome back to On the Rail with Techno Tawsh. I'm sitting with a very interesting person and I can't wait to speak with her. She is actually the owner of SHITLABEL, which you guys already know kind of fits what we like to talk about on the Rail with Techno Tawsh. And I was really interested in learning more about her label because she is based out of Berlin. And as a female owner as well, I wanted to have a conversation with her because I don't typically talk to a lot of females, especially in the techno industry. So welcome, Black Anthem Restore. I just want to make sure I got that right because she has an artist name and I actually haven't been able to catch a set of hers, but hopefully we can share that on the channel. But I wanted you to tell us a little bit about your story with starting the label to begin with, because I believe you started in 2005, is it?
It was a time where all my friends, everybody was like interested in music, being DJ, big peak of minimal time, and everybody was very interested in becoming fame. And everybody was talking about labels. It was like, oh, this label, cool. Oh, you heard that, this, I want to go there. I would like to be part of this. I saw it was very boring. Like, I have my own little platform where I can decide like how I want to present myself. I was not very interested in what other people think about, like how you should be as a DJ or how you should move forward in your actions. So yeah, I started SHITLABEL. It was mainly a platform idea. I started organizing parties in Berlin at that time. I felt very comfortable with having it as my own label, and I could just know what it stands for and not have to fit into any picture.
And did you start with producing or DJing or the label, or kind of how was the order of your progression into the music industry?
Well, back then it was not the feeling of music industry at all, like, because it was more, I mean, mainly I played as a DJ. I was a resident at ZMF in Berlin Mitte. You could go partying in the middle of the city back then. I did some things in different music programs, but I would not say that I produced music. I have never released anything. I played some tracks here and there, but it was not my main interest. I very quickly was also more interested in organizing events and creating spaces, which was a lot of fun back then in Berlin. I liked the energy, these rough buildings, this very minimalistic style in everything, which brings you to yourself rather. To have a space where you dance and you're confronted with yourself, with your emotions, with anything what comes up.
And with the way that the industry has evolved, I mean, I have to say industry now, right? But with the way that the industry has evolved, I'm actually curious how you feel in the present time, because right now I feel like so many artists, just in electronic music in general, kind of have this agenda now, I feel like, because of the evolution of the internet and, you know, artists have to not only DJ, they have to produce, and then once they produce, they have to create a label. Then once they create a label, they have to create a show, or, you know, some sort of visual aspect is now added. That's like, I feel like almost like this criteria for you to succeed, which is a lot of pressure. So I'm curious to hear from you, being in this industry for quite some time now and starting with the label, you know, many years ago, what your opinion on this maybe might be, or how you kind of still fit in all of this evolution.
Well, I try to still not fit in, which is actually also a new challenge because meanwhile I got also very professional at what I'm doing. I think the main difference, like how an artist presents themselves right now, the first aim is to get attention, like from anywhere. And that's, for me, it's like the opposite from where I come from. You played somewhere and people liked it. And then you would go forward from that. Because then somebody would be like, hey, that was cool. I want to book you to my small party maybe somewhere. And you played like on a small birthday party. Somebody had rented a back room from a club or a restaurant or something. And there were different moments, like you didn't have the idea of having a career and having like, okay, I need to play there and at this very important club and I need to be in this crew or whatever. And it was more organic, which I thought was very clear and natural. You delivered something and you got the direct answer, like from the people, if they like it or not. And nowadays, people start to build up a lot of attention from maybe also very different sides, which are not related to music at all. And they directly, I mean, people talk about a career like after a year or something. Like it's for me, it's very different. And I can't really say what I think about it because I didn't grow up in this time now. So I can just only say for me, it's the total opposite of how you would approach the activity of playing to other people. For me, it's still very important to create rooms with light, with music, with specific DJs who bring a certain sound to help people to understand that you can get lost. It's not only about like presenting yourself and making a photo, making a video, showing your new moves. I mean, you can do that. Moves are cool. But not to forget that it's about an experience. That you go in a club or on an outdoor party and while you dance, you connect with your body and you connect with yourself and you also connect to other people who you don't know at all maybe. But there is a group emotion also happening while dancing. I try to do the best to keep this moment alive, especially for young artists who start to play and they're super excited and they want to play fast and wild and the best set ever. And they sometimes have the feeling like they're like, oh, like it's a bit more laid back or like, oh, there's not so much excitement going on. If you see them again and again, slowly you can see they also make adjustments to their music style or they get a feeling what it's about.
What is it like for you when you're putting together a lineup or having your roster of artists on your label? Like, how do you decide who enters your label or kind of what are you really looking for? Not necessarily looking for. Is it just a certain kind of sound? Is it a certain kind of energy that maybe the person brings as themselves? Or what is it exactly that attracts you and makes you collaborate with people on SHITLABEL?
I mean, until now, it's always the lineup rather than the roster because I'm too much of a perfectionist and standing in my own way to starting the label also in a way because I get lost so much in all ideas of how I want to start it that I never started really. But also this is part of what I do and continue doing because it's mine. I can do whatever because people are like, yeah, but now you need to start and then it's the next step and then you move on. I'm like, yeah, but I don't care because I don't need to move on and I don't want to have success the whole time in a certain way. And I still want to make the decisions the way I do them. And that it can be very emotional and very irrational. And this is something I think, especially in this industry now, is something I have to fight for. Because there's a lot of pressure on this success the whole time. Yeah, I don't like it, so I don't do it. And for the lineups, it's always important for me to have a nice musical curve. Like, it's not about like, okay, which people are like super important and I want to put all these names after another. Mainly, it's always about how will the whole night be, because that's the club experience. It's not only the, oh, I saw this person, and I met important DJs or whatever. It's very important to understand how to have a nice surrounding from start until the end.
What would you say is a nice surrounding from start to end? What is that for you?
Well, to have somebody who is skilled to play good opening. It's often a theme right now. Like, often people are like, yeah, you have to play the opening like this, like that. A lot of people say like, I don't care, I just play however I want, and if I play like the fastest, wildest set directly, I'm the king and that's my path. And if you do that on my party, you will like get booked once and never again, because I think it's about inviting the people soundly to a hearing experience, and it's about getting the groove going a bit, having the energy rise. And also, I mean, it's also in the track, it's about dynamics. Like, if you just have like one pounding hard thing going on, something is missing. I think it's very important that the energy level has the opportunity to rise and also fall again. I love to play closings. I think at the end of the night, you can also carry people like really far away from what they also might have expected or thought they would get entertained by. For me, it's like the best musical curve you can have.
I think it's cool too, because the way that you describe it, at least how I'm interpreting it, is almost as if you are collaborating with all these moving pieces. So whether it's the artists that are on the lineup, whether it's the community, the people showing up to the events, whether it's indirectly or directly, you kind of have all these pieces in mind while you're doing this, especially like how you said, when you want to do the closing set, you're like, I want to take these people far, far away. And I can understand, I can relate to you a lot when you say that, because this is more kind of the way that I think or process it, especially when maybe mixing, or even just when I share music, because that's what I do on the show is I put playlists together, I share music with everybody. That's my mission, at least. So I wanted to hear what your mission is and why you even came up with the name Shit Label.
Yeah, I mean, mainly it was because this label, it was so important to label something, and I was like, yeah, fuck you, like, why, what? I would play a classical piece at some point when I think it fits to the moment. So I don't want to put myself in a tiny box and be a certain artist described only for a certain genre, or in this industrial thinking of presenting a certain artist.
It's kind of like, where is the creativity anymore, right? When you're labeled or you're put in a box, or you can't really, I mean, the artist in you gets trapped if you can't express yourself in whichever form it is, right? So I also agree with this. I know a lot of people get like really stuck on what genre is this and what genre is this and it's this and it's that, and I'm like, who cares, you know, like just play what you want to play, or, you know, feel what you want to feel. And the same thing, I love when like a classical, you know, piece comes in the middle and it kind of shocks you. But if the timing is right, I think it can all make sense if you kind of have the story in your head. I mean, that's what the art is, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, to have the freedom to do whatever I want. And my main approach to any activity is very emotional. We tend to do like a lot in the brain area where we are very rational, but I think it's untrue. I think a lot of decisions are made like more from the unconscious area. In a moment where I want to feel myself, it's much more important to get in this downsized thinking area and to get feelings. I want to offer the opportunity to feel whatever you like. And I give a lot of different emotional inputs, and you grab something where you respond to, and you can like go deeper or not. I got some feedback. I was very astonished when somebody said that it's very audio-visual, that somebody sees a lot of colors and came to a lot of sets for that reason. And I thought like, that's super nice. And I feel very, very heard then. And I think maybe also people who are more sensible to sounds, to emotions, like to also get lost in a soundscape rather than only like a super safe, rhythmical, whatever.
Before we started rolling, I was asking you what's the reaction been from people, because I know that in certain experiences, maybe some people might be a little bit afraid to do something so bold, like calling their label the way that you called yours. I mean, I think it's great. This is what even attracted me in the first place to have a conversation with you. I'm just curious what the reaction has been from people, and especially for people that are maybe intimidated to really be honest with themselves or like express themselves the way that they truly want to, because most people are conforming. How has it been for you?
Actually, there's a very funny story, I have to say, right? And mainly I can say I realized very quickly that the name is perfect because it makes it very clear. Like, some people think it's the stupidest thing ever and they hate it, and other people are like, hey, that's super cool. And I think there are not many like wandering around how they feel about it. And we had asked a booker for some artists, and he said like, yeah, I don't know, like I don't want that my artists play like on an event and somewhere where you say like where it's called shit label. And I was like, yeah, okay, like. And then I was like, yeah, maybe he's not getting it or something. But then I felt like, yeah, like there's not, like, what do you want to explain, really? But then I said like, yeah, but you remember, like there was this bigger label, Shit Catapult. And he answered that that they say they throw with shit as a catapult. And I say, I am shit. And yeah, I had to laugh so much. And I was like, yeah, I think this doesn't fit. And I was happy. Because I was like, yeah, if there is no understanding, then this, like, why should we, like, mingle together? Like, but I really had to laugh a lot about, yeah. I thought like, yeah, somebody, but I mean, he put all these thoughts also in it, you know?
Well, this is what I love about names like this, or if you're creating any sort of art that's maybe unexpected or that shocks people, is you kind of catch people off guard, or maybe you even offend people. And I mean, this is the kind of art that I personally love, because the story I always tell my boyfriend, I'm always like, I've made these pieces of like, you know, naked gay guys hugging each other in a Catholic school in high school, you know, when I was painting and drawing stuff. And it was like, my teacher was so afraid to like post it on the walls of the school because of the art show that we're doing or something. And this was like something that like really motivated me for some reason. So I think it's cool that you stay true to yourself. I mean, not only just conforming, but the fact that you stay true to yourself, that you're genuine And the fact that you're also thinking in a positive way, like, oh, you know, maybe this is not a fit for us, rather than you questioning your idea or yourself or conforming, which I feel like is kind of more the common thing to do, where maybe you're wondering or doubting, oh, you know, is the name wrong? No, you were like, oh no, you guys are not for us. So I really admire that. And I think that's a really great message to share with the public as well. And since obviously you are coming from Berlin, do you have anything to say about the scene in Berlin, kind of how it's evolved over time? What is it like now? And how do you stay relevant in the scene with the evolution over the years?
Yeah. 2 years ago, I was hating a lot about changes in the scene. And I think it's the moment you realize, like, you're fucking old. Because new young people are doing something what you really hate. It took a while for me to calm down and accept this and let it go. Like, I don't need to like what everybody does, or I also can accept that I don't understand. And I see, that's what I said, like, I'm not born in this time. I'm not a young person now. So what do I know how I would react now? Staying relevant for me is mainly just being who I am. Also, as you said, as a female, for me, for a certain time, I also thought, like, okay, what do we have to do? Like, I have to do something for the ladies. Look at me. And then I thought, like, no, like, I just am who I am. And this is what I'm offering. Other young women, other young female DJs from any gender can just experience a person who does what she likes. That actually is the best you can do. Really be who you are, and then somebody can find something interesting in that or think it's boring. Being relevant, also not hopping on all the hypes, which is also kind of a challenge. Like, if you still want to do events, it is something I always have to think about. If I only do something which young people are not interested in, I will be like in a niche, and then I will not be relevant. Yeah, that's actually like the grown-up challenge then, to keep being yourself in also a changing world.
I was going through your website and I love the description, which I'm going to insert into the video as well, because it was very poetic to read. And I personally might have to read it like 10 times to maybe understand fully what the about us of Shit Label actually means, because it's like very, very poetic, but I love how it's written. And how has it been for you with the rise of social media, especially in rave culture? And how are you kind of navigating, you know, through it or around it, or again, it kind of keeping up with the topic of staying relevant? Has that also been a challenge for you when you're throwing events, or can you kind of still manage without being on the trends and so dominant with social media?
Yeah, I mean, I am super bad at promotion. Like, I mean, I don't like to do short movies of me doing something just to show, like, hey, here I am, I'm doing something. For me, I was afraid. I was like, oh no, everybody is doing this, like, I have to do it, but I don't know how, and I also don't like it. And the things, when I don't like something, I'm really, really bad at it, because I can't convince myself to do something which I'm not fond of. I'm navigating around it, I would say. Doing the least most I have to do, let's say. A photo, I can still choose, like, okay, how do I present myself? But also Shit Label. I mean, we have, like, sometimes somebody made a short clip here and there, and we're like, okay, we throw it together, and then here, look, people, we did something. And then we're like, okay, we did, like, oh, give me 5, like, we did.
Like, the biggest accomplishment.
We're like, yes, we did something promotional-wise. Inverse Element is taking care of promoting before the party. And I'm happy he does this, you know, he does all these little clips, just like gathering the artists together, the artwork, which is great. Natalie does this like since, I think, also years now already. I used to do it myself for a whole while, but then it also got like too much. I think outsourcing generally like is a important thing. But I never felt like inviting somebody who's taking like films the whole time. Even like sometimes we asked a photographer because we thought like, okay, like having some cool pictures from the artist while they're playing on the event is great. But often like just the artist got them, they shortly posted them, or we never did like huge things from it. Because it's just not our thing. We just care so much more about the actual party. We have to remind, like, hey, we have to do something.
Again, now with everything changing so much, and I can't even describe the scene because what rave culture was is not what it is today, obviously. And I think people like you, and, you know, there's still many around the world as well, but there's a lot of you that are still trying to keep this core rave culture of what it stood for when it originated versus having, you know, all the cameras in your face and the videographers and all this. And I think now a lot of people that are getting deeper into the music that are maybe the younger generation are starting to appreciate kind of this no phone policy. And I see this topic being pretty much a trend online a lot. A lot of people are, you know, in a way it's almost anti-conformist because it's like, oh, no phone, no phone. But then now it's almost becoming a trend to be like, oh, well, don't take out your phone. You know, who are you to take your phone? It's almost kind of like you're looking down on people that they take their phones out, or fan clackers or whatever that people are talking about online, right? I think for your events and how you said, you know, you guys prefer, you know, maybe you get a few pictures at your events and kind of leave it at that. How do you also manage this situation? Because if the clubs have their videographers, photographers, is this something that maybe you guys are letting them know not to do so much? Do you feel like your audience that you're attracting is just not the kind of people that are bringing out cameras and recording at these kind of raves? Or how are you maybe interpreting this whole thing with the cameras and the videos and the events?
It depends on the clubs. We talk about this topic with every club, and it's in the most clubs there's no phone policy. Yeah, I try to be a little bit open to this, you know, because when we talk about freedom and like letting go and being, you don't want to start to tell people what to do. And that was really strange because, but then I realized, I mean, there were events, people like with light film you in the face, you can't see anything, and you get really angry while playing. I got really in this like negative mindset, and I was hating about it so much. And then I thought like, okay, I have to make a decision. And yeah, it turns out like being older means also that you have this like educational part, and that you can set some rules to provide a certain freedom. Because if everybody is taking photos, taking videos, it's annoying for the people who play. People are also not dancing, they're just filming, and also filming other people, which is for me like the biggest concern, which I still really hate. But a lot of people just step over these boundaries. For me, I will think what I do on a party. I will be like, okay, I might be filmed. And I said like to my husband, I was like, oh, I'm so happy that when I was young, crazy and wild, there was no handies. I would have been done.
There was this video that surfaced on social media that's been going viral, and it's this girl like in the parking lot of some event or something, the sun is out, she's like dancing her ass off, there's no music anymore, and I'm just like, God, you know, I mean, whether she remembered or not that there was a camera recording, I mean, it was obvious that somebody was recording her. Maybe it was a friend or something. But the fact that it's all over the internet now, I'm just like, oh my God, you know, like, I don't even think that anyone was thinking that this could be a possibility, right? In that moment. And this is something that I think of all the time too, where it's like, I mean, I'm constantly aware of, you know, cameras all around. And even if I'm completely sober, I don't have a drink or anything, and I'm walking into an event and I see a camera facing my way, I'm like, oh, I'm in that video today. Oh, I'm in that video today, you know? And it is definitely, can be an uncomfortable feeling, I think. And of course, again, with the generation now, I think everybody's aware that there's cameras everywhere, right? So I think it's kind of at your own risk, right? I mean, you're not signing a liability form when you're walking into the club, but I guess when you purchase a ticket or whatever, I mean, you're aware. And I think this also maybe could contribute to the lack of freedom subconsciously too, because you can't fully let yourself go unless you really don't give a shit, right? So some of the last things I just wanted to touch on with you, maybe just talk about some of the clubs that you guys throw your events at, talk about what the year has in store for you as an artist, of course, and the label.
Tomorrow we will have the event at Fuchs 2 and Bike Jesus, full house party in Prague. Then over the year at our beloved Club Hall in Tallinn. We are going back to Riga also, to 1-1. And I think there's some things maybe still getting checked if we go to the clubs. Generally, we are keeping it a bit low because in the last years we did a little bit lot. And I also felt it was necessary to have a bit more time around events to not get into this super business mode. I want to have the emotions and the sharing with the people also. I want to have this closeness.
What's been your biggest or one of your biggest accomplishments in music?
Staying unknown. I would say.
Okay.
And I have to say it's an accomplishment I only realize now that it is one. When I was younger, I also surely like compared myself and thought like, oh, now I'm like more important, people know my name or something. Now I see the freedom of being an unknown artist because I can do the fuck I want. I don't have to be sexy, I don't have to be cool, smart, whatever, and I don't have to play every weekend. I can just throw my own party and decide with whom I want to play.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining us here at On The Real.
Thank you.